There comes a moment when your heart whispers what your mind refuses to hear: enough is enough. You've spent years doing things that drain your spirit, habits that rob you of your peace, routines that numb your soul. But today is not just another day, it's your wake-up call. Stop doing what breaks you inside. Stop putting everyone else first while you silently crumble. Stop pretending that your exhaustion is strength. True healing begins when you choose yourself not out of selfishness, but out of self-respect. The body grows tired, the mind grows weary, but the soul never stops seeking balance. It's time to stop chasing validation. Stop feeding your fears, and stop delaying the life you deserve. Every sunrise is a new chance to begin again, to replace guilt with gratitude, noise with stillness, and pain with purpose. Let this be the moment you rise, not because life is easy, but because you finally understand your worth. The world doesn't need a perfect you. It needs the real you. Stand tall, breathe deep, and stop doing what keeps you small. Choose peace, choose presence, and choose you starting now. Stop sacrificing your peace for approval, because the moment you trade your inner CBR for someone else's acceptance, you lose a part of yourself that no applause can ever replace. You weren't born to live up to anyone's expectations. You were born to live in truth, in freedom, in peace. Yet somewhere along the way, you began believing that love must be earned, that worth must be proven, and that silence is safer than standing in your own light. You started saying yes when your heart screamed no. You smiled when you wanted to cry. You stayed quiet to keep the peace, not realizing that the peace you were protecting belonged to everyone but you. But here's the truth. Real peace doesn't come from keeping everyone happy. It comes from choosing yourself, even when it disappoints others. Every time you chase approval, you hand your power away. You let others decide when you're enough, when you've done well, when you deserve rest or love. That's not living, that is surviving. And survival is not the goal anymore. You've survived long enough. Now it's time to live. The world doesn't need a quieter, smaller version of you. It needs your truth, unfiltered, unpolished, and unapologetic. The people who truly love you won't leave when you speak your truth. They'll draw closer because they finally see you for who you are. The ones who walk away were never meant to stay. Stop apologizing for outgrowing the spaces that once made you shrink. Growth is not betrayal, it's liberation. Your peace is sacred. Guard it like the rare treasure it is. You owe no one explanations for choosing silence over chaos, solitude over drama, or healing over history. The weight you've been carrying, the constant need to please, to be perfect, to never offend, has exhausted your spirit. But today, you get to set it down. You get to breathe freely, love deeply, and walk lightly. No one has the right to drain the peace you fought so hard to find. Approval is temporary, but peace lasts a lifetime. Think of how much energy you've poured into keeping others comfortable, into shrinking your light so no one feels threatened. What if that same energy was poured into yourself, into your dreams, your PBR ashes, your rest? What would your life look like then? You would laugh louder, sleep better, and walk taller. You would stop doubting your intuition and start trusting it. You would finally realize that your worth was never up for debate, it was built into you from the very beginning. You don't need validation to be valuable. You don't need permission to be free. Every time you stop yourself from expressing your truth because of what someone might think, you silence your soul's voice. But your soul is patient. It waits for you to listen again. The peace you are seeking doesn't come from being accepted by everyone. It comes from accepting yourself fully. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to say no without guilt, to rest without apology, to be misunderstood without shame. The right people will never require you to destroy yourself to love them. You have spent enough years pleasing others. Now it's time to please the one person who has always been with you. When you stop sacrificing your peace for approval, something miraculous happens. Life begins to feel lighter. Love begins to feel purer, and joy begins to flow naturally. You stop performing and start living. You stop proving and start being. The noise fades, the pressure lifts, and what remains is peace, the kind that no one can take from you. That's when you will realize that approval was never the goal, freedom was. And freedom begins with peace. So, from this moment on, promise yourself that your peace is non-negotiable. Protect it fiercely, guard it gently, and never again hand it over for the sake of being liked. Because when you choose peace over approval, you don't lose people, you lose your limits. And that's how you finally become whole. End habits that drain your energy and joy, because life is too precious to be lived half awake, weighed down by things that no longer serve your soul. Every day, you repeat patterns that feel familiar but secretly steal your spark. You check your phone before you even open your heart to a new morning. You overthink conversations that ended hours ago. You pubershish yourself to exhaustion, wearing tiredness like a badge of honor. You cling to routines that keep you busy but never fulfilled. And somewhere along the way, you stopped asking yourself the most important question: does this make me feel alive? Your energy is sacred. It's the pulse of your purpose, the fuel that drives your dreams, the quiet force behind your peace. Yet, so often, you give it away carelessly to negativity, to comparison, to guilt. You scroll endlessly, seeking inspiration but finding only emptiness. You hold on to relationships that drain your spirit, convincing yourself that loyalty means suffering. You replay your mistakes as if punishing yourself will somehow bring healing. But healing doesn't come through pain. It comes through release. It's time to let go of every habit that pulls you away from joy. The habit of worrying about things beyond your control. The habit of saying yes when your soul is begging for rest. The habit of talking yourself out of opportunities because fear feels safer than faith. End them. End them all. Because every small decision you make in favor of peace rebuilds your strength. Every time you choose stillness over stress, you reclaim a piece of your power. Every time you say no to what drains you, you make space for what fuels you. Your body feels it when your habits are out of alignment: fatigue, irritability, restlessness. These aren't signs of weakness. They messages from your inner self, whispering that it's time to realign. Isten. You weren't designed to live in constant motion or constant doubt. You were meant to move with intention, to breathe with purpose, to live with joy. You can pour from an empty cup, and you can shine while carrying the weight of everything that dulls your light. Joy doesn't just appear, it grows where peace is protected and energy is honored. And energy is not just physical, it is emotional, spiritual, and mental. Protect it the way you protect someone you love deeply, because you are someone you should love deeply. Start by noticing what drains you. Is it the constant noise of other people's opinions? The endless chase for perfection? The guilt that comes every time you choose rest? Whatever it is, name it and release it. Let the silence remind you that you are safe without chaos. Let boundaries remind you that peace is your responsibility. And let gratitude remind you that joy exists even in simplicity. You don't need to do more to be more. Sometimes, doing less is the bravest act of all. There is a difference between living and merely existing, and the habits you keep define which one you choose. Fill your days with what uplifts you. Walk outside, feel the wind, breathe deeply. Talk to people who make your heart lighter. Spend time with things that inspire you, not things that consume you. Replace judgment with curiosity, noise with stillness, and comparison with self-compassion. The habits that drain you survive on your attention. Once you stop feeding them, they fabric. Choose habits that restore your soul. Wake up with intention. Move your body because it feels good, not because you feel guilty. Speak kindly to yourself. Celebrate small victories. Rest when needed. Dream boldly. Protect your joy as though it's your lifeline, because it is. When you finally end the habits that drain your energy, life becomes lighter, not because everything gets easier, but because you stop carrying what's heavy and unnecessary. Your laughter returns, your mind clears, and your heart opens. You start noticing beauty again in the sunrise, in a quiet cup of tea, in your own reflection. You begin to feel at home within yourself, and that is the greatest freedom of all. To wake up knowing your energy belongs to you, your joy is not negotiable, and your peace is your greatest achievement. So end those habits now. You've given enough of your power away. It's time to reclaim it, nurture it, and live the joyful life you were always meant to have. Begin honoring your boundaries and worth daily, because the moment you stop doing so, life slowly becomes a series of obligations instead of a journey of peace. You owe yourself the kind of respect you have been so willing to give to others. Too often, you've stretched yourself thin trying to keep the peace, saying yes when your heart whispered no, accepting less than you deserve because you feared losing love or approval. But every time you abandon your own needs to please someone else, you teach the world that your comfort is optional. It's not. Your time, your energy, and your peace are sacred. You were not meant to live on empty, constantly pouring from a cup that's already cracked. Boundaries are not walls, they re-bridges to self-respect. They how you tell the world, this is what I need to stay whole. They are NBROT selfish. They are necessary. Without them, you lose yourself in the noise of other people's demands and expectations. But when you begin to honor your boundaries, you start to rebuild the connection between who you are and who you re-becoming. You begin to feel safe within your own skin again. You start realizing that you don't have to explain or justify your limits to anyone. The people who truly love you will respect them, the ones who don't were never meant to stay. Each time you say no to something that drains you, you say yes to something that strengthens you. Every time you choose resparti over guilt, clarity over confusion, truth over pretending, you reclaim a part of your worth that life may have made you forget. Your worth isn't defined by how much you give, how much you endure, or how much you sacrifice. It's defined by your existence alone. You don't have to earn it, prove it, or perform for it. You simply have to recognize it and protect it. Too many people confuse kindness with compliance. They take advantage of your empathy, mistaking your compassion for weakness. But the strongest souls are not the ones who never say no, they are the ones who say no with grace. Because no is a complete sentence. It doesn't need an apology. It doesn't need justification. It simply means, I am choosing myself this time. Honoring your worth means showing up for yourself the way you've shown up for others. It means listening to your intuition, trusting your gut, and giving yourself TBR. Same forgiveness and grace you give to everyone else. It means acknowledging your limits and refusing to feel guilty for having them. You were not created to be endlessly available to others at the expense of your own well-being. You were created to live fully, to love deeply, and to protect your peace fiercely. Start paying attention to what feels heavy. Those are often the places where your boundaries are being crossed. Learn to pause before you agree. Ask yourself, does this serve my peace, my purpose, or my growth? If the answer is no, give yourself permission to decline. The more you practice honoring your boundaries, the easier it becomes. It's like strengthening a muscle that's been ignored for years. It takes effort at first, but soon it becomes natural. You'll begin to notice how your energy shifts when you stop saying yes out of obligation and start saying yes out of align beer NT. Life begins to feel lighter. Relationships become more balanced and your days feel more meaningful. You will also discover that your worth doesn't diminish. When someone disapproves of you, it remains steady, untouched, unshaken. The wrong people will fall away, but the right ones will stay, not because you have bent yourself to fit their comfort, but because you have stood firm in your truth. You will start to see how honoring your worth daily changes everything. You will wake up with more peace. You will move through your days with clarity. You will stop apologizing for your existence and start celebrating it. And when challenges come, as they always do, you will handle them from a place of strength, not desperation. Your boundaries will protect you from the chaos that once drained you. Your worth will remind you that you deserve to be treated with respect, including by yourself. So begin today. Say no when you mean no. Rest when you're tired. Speak kindly to yourself. Walk away from what disrespects your soul. Because every time you honor your boundaries, you honor your life. And every time you remember your worth, you remind the world that you were never meant to be small. You were meant to TBR and tall, rooted in peace, surrounded by love, and confident in your own power. Begin honoring your boundaries and worth daily, because your peace depends on it. For too long, you've said yes when you wanted to say no, stretched yourself thin to keep others happy, and called it love. But love should never cost you your sanity. Boundaries are not rejection, they re-protection. They remind you and everyone around you that your time, energy, and spirit have value. The more you respect your limits, the more others will too. You don't need to explain or apologize for protecting your peace. The right people will never ask you to break yourself just to keep them comfortable. Honoring your worth means choosing yourself, even when it feels uncomfortable. It means resting without guilt, walking away from chaos, and believing that you deserve calm over conflict. When you start honoring your boundary, you stop shrinking and start shining. You attract respect instead of resentment, connection instead of control, and peace instead of pressure. Every no you say from self-respect becomes a yes to your healing, your purpose, and your power. Your worth was never up for debate it. T.I. Me to live LBRIQ believe that. Protect it daily, because nothing matters more than your inner peace.